everyone. Welcome back to the Philosopher monthly stream that we've been doing for the past 8 months here. Welcome. And my co-host.
Co-host Jack Lloyd. Welcome back.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride.
We have a lot of projects going on,
We
right?
do have a lot of projects going on. We got some people in the chat here just saying hi real quick. What's up, Walter?
Yes,
What's up,
and we have a special
Birthday?
guest for you tonight.
What's up, Tom?
Hey, Tommy.
What's up,
Oh, great to see you
B1 3SR?
soon. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait, great to see you soon.
I really hope you're talking about
the event. And a quick note too, as you can see down below, for us to best see your comments, if you want to see your comments, go over to YouTube.
Go on YouTube.
YouTube.com/The Philosopher. So check that on out. And so we got a few things to talk about. But what's the most important we got to do first?
The first thing is our special guest, Lou.
Lou?
We're going to get the Wolverine.
Hey,
Lou.
Hey.
You want the mutant healing? I'm sorry.
You know, I feel like you guys invited me over just because you like saying Lou. I think that's what this is all about. It's a fun name.
Yeah, the name of our event is called Don't Shoot Lou.
Yeah.
It's all part of my grand scheme to say Lou.
Yeah, I really wish the emphasis was on don't shoot, but you put it on Lou. So.
Right.
Yeah, don't shoot Lou, because
secondary is
you're a comedian. Shoot. And we're gonna be in there and we're gonna have to be following all the safety rules, and you're gonna be making jokes as comedians do. And
wait, what are you
not to laugh?
What are you promising people? Look, we're gonna bring this clown in, and he's gonna be doing everything you're not supposed to be doing with a weapon. It's gonna be hilarious.
Well, look,
we're promising a striptease, honestly. That's what we're doing. So
I thought because you taught me how to do burpees, you might know some safety rules about guns. But I was just saying, because you make jokes and stuff, and people are just gonna have to not laugh like me. Well, because don't you just make jokes all the time? Because that's just you're a comedian. Anyway, when I met you in person, I thought.
I think people are coming for your comedy. That's last I checked, but I'm not sure how that will all pan out. But,
don't you want to go shoot with Lou?
I'll just say that I'm very excited to for one to be coming down to Florida.
Yeah.
2 to be hanging out with you guys. 3 to be doing performing stand up. I'm bringing copies of my book down if anybody would like a signed copy, and I am interested in shooting some guns. So
wow, is that novel for you, being where you are, the Northeast?
Yeah, I don't have that much experience shooting.
New Yorker. Oh, you don't?
I don't. Yeah, so I'm kind of like a newbie.
Wow,
that's the exciting part of this whole event, is whether or not you'll survive it. That's
right. And how many people explain to you, oh, you're a newbie, all right, let's go over here. You're someone.
That should change us to teach Lou to shoot. Maybe that's what, instead of don't shoot Lou, we're gonna teach Lou to shoot.
No, it's
Jack made it sound like it was going to be a drive-by. There's another gang that you guys are at war with, and then Lou, just pointed out the gun, pointed out the window, and just blast.
So.
That'd be terrible. That would meet the libertarian or the status stereotypes of libertarians. I don't.
We already decided that even if nobody comes, we're gonna fill the audience with a bunch of crackheads from the street, so that way it could be the greatest story you ever have had at a comedy show. And you'll be able to tell that story, for years out. So no matter what, you're gonna come away with.
You can bring yours from New Jersey. We'll have ours in Tampa.
It's gonna be a very organic event. So no planning.
Oh, that's good. I love organic food. Yeah. So, cool. Well, last thing, now that I've seen McWillie Time open for you, can I ever see anyone open for you again?
Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, you're talking about what happened at
Porkfest.
Porkfest, right? That was a
Yes.
that was a
your
fun
friend.
that was a fun, interesting, weird time.
He called me out, man. I was like, I'm just trying to sit next to Lynn Ulbrich here.
This is so
He's
inside
like,
baseball.
by the car.
This is so inside.
I'm like,
baseball.
I'm American. I'm sorry. But yeah, anyway, if he opened for you, it'd be hilarious.
He's all the way in California.
Is he allowed to open for you again? I don't know if he's allowed to anymore.
I don't
He
know.
came
I mean,
all the way to New Hampshire for you to
yeah,
open?
but Brian still thinks that I'm his friend, but I definitely have a court order saying that he distinctly cannot do stand-up comedy before me ever again.
Okay, well, I don't know if this helps him be a stand-up comedian, but all I know is his Instagram is McWillie time.
McWillie time.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk more about Lou.
Yeah, let's talk about Lou because he's gone through a lot of changes in his life, and a part of those changes is, making new friends, releasing old ones who've, withered away,
becoming George Carlin's. I'm sorry, you don't believe in past lives.
And basically, embracing his new self, right? So Lou is now embarking on a new wave of just Lou, right? There's no man, there's no master, there's no one to tell him what to do. He says what he wants to do, and that's it.
So he's more anarchist now.
Very much so.
Right. I remember he was like, I gotta worship the police. No, I'm just joking. I'm just misquoting you, dude. I'm sorry.
The way that you've described it is basically I'm a middle-aged woman who's found herself, her real self, either again or just after, I left my other life behind, and I went and did like an eat, pray, love sort of thing, and here I am.
Bless you. And your Latinx.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a long journey. Like many people who got into comedy, you went to New York, and you got lots of experience there working with people, making skits, writing, teaching. Were you
born and raised in New York, Lou?
I was. I'm one of the few.
Wow. Whoa, what suburb?
Very small town of Queens, New York.
Queens! Oh my gosh, you don't have the accent at all that I'm familiar with.
I used to have it. I used to have an insanely thick accent, and I lost it in college. I didn't even mean to lose it. There's just something that happens when you want people to understand what you're saying.
Yes.
And you kind of slow down and enunciate differently. So that happened to me.
What about diverse inclusion and getting other people to understand your dialect? That's just how you were raised. And it's supremacist to get you to speak proper English. Don't you know?
I mean, yeah, in a way, I'm a conquered people. They got rid of that, trashy, Queen's accent off of me. Do you guys watch this show, The Bear? You ever heard of that show?
Is that?
Is
it a newer show, like a recent on Netflix?
It's that like really nice gay comedy with a bunch of guys. They're a little hairy and they come together and they like do.
Oh no, that's The Bears.
What?
That's different. Yeah, this is singular.
Sorry,
The
guys.
Bear. It takes place in like a restaurant in Chicago.
Okay.
And it's on like FX. And the thing about it is it's like so authentic. Like that's the big thing. It's really authentic because the people in it speak with like accents.
Like Chinese food?
No. It's like what kind of food? I don't know if they do like Italian food or something like that. But it's a like a dramedy. So it's funny, but there's also like dark stuff going on. So that's what my wife and I have kind of been. Well, she's been watching it, and I basically come into the room and make fun of it and then leave. But it's one of those things where I go, there's something that's so inauthentic authenticity, where it's like, oh, they're really just kind of playing up their whatever accents they have to sound like, no, they're really from Chicago. I don't even know if that's how Chicago sounds.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not much of a Chicagoan myself, so I don't
know. Look, all I'm saying is this: if anybody come into the gun range and you're a fan of The Bear, I might have to make fun of it a little bit. So
I once watched someone comes in like a bear T-shirt, like I love the bear, and they're like this like huge jack dude, like 6'6", like 300 pounds, and you're like, oh, okay,
yeah, and I'll be like, yeah.
Well,
But actually, but it's funny because I'm making fun of the show, but there's actually really good parts to it. So maybe I'm just being a hater because they kind of sound like the way I used to sound.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a self-loathing projection, maybe.
Well,
yeah, it might be a little bit.
Yeah, well, if we watch it, The Bear, which Anarcho says is a weird show, hope you come to the event. But anyway, we'll think of you, Lou, and your wife.
Yeah,
We'll definitely think of you.
Think of me, my wife, and a bear. Yeah,
and then he's gonna walk in and go ha 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 and walk away, and then we just continue traditions because that's what I like to do.
I just think like the you and your wife and the bear thing would be like something for the character that has that fist in the back. You know what I mean? That sounds like that sounds like a love triangle for that.
Where's the fist? It's on.
I never even got what that was.
Like
I shared your video and I was like, oh, okay, it's like a praying hand.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize.
Well, you need two of them together to be praying.
On your knees
right,
to pray
right.
For
I
that
thought
one,
he was praying.
But
yeah, but you're like, that's not pray. That's not how people pray. People pray like this. I'm like,
right. You might need prayer after that.
But, yeah,
you need a pray hand next to that hand, so they balance each other out.
On that note, though, of access, we're having this discussion. I want to hear your thoughts. Though we're having this discussion, right? There's this thing that is in comedy. Yeah, we're having me and you. So we're having this discussion about accents because you might have seen this trend that when it comes to a lot of popular comedians and comedy shows, people just love the New York accent and its variety of dialectics, right? It's like people just suddenly just like, oh, they're from New York. Oh, it's funnier, right? And it's like,
I mean, maybe I have a bias, but
but we're thinking
there's other people like me. I feel like.
Is it like New Yorker or like Italian New Yorker or like Jewish New Yorker from Long Island? Is that like the same thing as like what we think about like Chinese accents? You know what I mean? Like Chinese accents are funny to us. Like maybe New Yorker accents are funny to the Chinese.
What do you mean Chinese accents are funny to us? Speak for yourself.
I mean, there's nothing funnier than like a Chinese guy with a really thick New York accent.
I'm sorry. Can you do it, Lou?
Bro, you wouldn't believe it. When I'm growing up, my mama used to make the wonton soup, bro. You wouldn't believe it. Forget about it, man. We got
forget about it.
I gotta get a menu out.
I'm about to fit right in. I told him, I'm like, if there was no income tax or heavy property taxation.
She's like, I'd love to live in New York if it didn't have all the taxes and the gun restrictions and the shitty people. It'd be great.
Hey, they already have a huge police state. Okay. Okay. We have that too. So
not as bad.
Take your pick.
New York gives you the thing that Lou has behind him on his shelf on a daily basis. We only get just the fingers. They get the full thing.
Wow.
There it is.
Wow.
But right, is it not true though? Is it not true that people are just like, wow, okay, New Yorker, probably Jewish, probably Italian. Wow, they're funny, right? But then it's like to like, European people like, oh, Chinese accent, all very funny. Like it's the same kind of thing. It's like that. It's like the yin to the yang. The New Yorker accent is to the Chinese accent.
I think it. Yeah, I've never thought about comparing the two like that. But I mean, one thing I could say though about like the New York accent is that it really is fading. Like they're like I have family members who still have really thick accents. Like my mother and my number of my brothers have it. But yeah, it's like it's getting harder and harder to find people with it.
It is. Why do you think?
I heard it everywhere when I visited New York for those 4 days and we lived there.
It probably has. I mean, it probably has to do with sort of working class people, kind of moving out or moving more to the out to maybe like the outskirts. I don't.
Like New Hampshire, we saw so many of those in PorkFest.
You saw so many what?
New Yorkers.
New York trans.
Oh yeah.
Living in the country, living in upstate New York or whatever, upper state in the country there, near Canada.
I mean, it might be it might just be something like kind of like similar thing to like globalization where there's sort of a uniformity that sort of ends up blanketing stuff. So yeah, if you hear somebody with a legit like New York accent, it is a rare find.
I hear a lot of it in Florida, and it increased a lot since the lockdowns. I don't know. Like all the chatter around me went from like, "Hey, it's a beautiful day out here," to like, "Hey, get out of here." I don't know, but they're more polite.
They're using very different words for the same emotion.
Right.
Yeah. But,
well, something I want to do, because I have 2 young boys, but it's funny because I'm raising them to speak English with a thick Chinese accent. So they're gonna
go through ABCs.
Yeah,
different?
they're gonna sound like they're fresh off the boat. It's gonna be amazing. These are like 2 little blonde boys. Oh, so sorry. Or whatever.
You're trying to increase their chances of getting them into NYU. Is that it? You're like, you got to follow my footsteps, kids. And the only way you're getting in these days is with that Chinese accent.
Oh, right. People will be confused.
That's it.
Are you a white male or are you a minority?
Yeah. Or are you just fucking with everyone?
What are you talking about? I eat dim sum on weekend.
See, you got the Asian accent. And that's just it. If you embrace your Asian accent and Lou just went back to his New York roots, it would be like overnight.
Yeah, it would be a really shitty sitcom. He's from New York. She's Chinese. You won't believe the adventures they get into.
I didn't know.
That actually sounds like an award-winning show, and we need to produce this immediately.
What would your name be, Fo? What would your name be in that show?
Don't ask me. I'm not the Jewish producer over here.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not asking the Jewish
As
producer.
his brother likes to say, I'm just here to act and eat. He went to LA for a little bit. That's why he, picked up the West Coast accent there. Talking about accents.
But maybe the accents are being lost because all the Jewish producers.
I love them. I'm never going to lose them. Chinese. I have them all. I collect them all. They're in my repertoire.
The accents?
Yeah. Italians, Indians, Middle Easterns, Korean, all of them. Isn't that just like true, just decentralized diversity? Just people having their property rights respected and then having the freedom to choose what culture and accents they choose to push on, instead of the Chinese government coming into Hong Kong and be like, hey, no more Cantonese. Everyone speak Mandarin now. Everyone read. I'm sorry, but it's terrible. I just, when I think about it deeper than that, and then I just start to cry. But yeah, so let's go back to Lou. So how's the tyranny for you? And
we need a real comedian to come in. All right, Lou.
I know, right?
I was enjoying the one woman show.
I know, right? The sitcom would be like, hey, can someone please direct?
I mean, that's true. Yeah.
Because this scene,
it's been hard for Jewish producers though lately, because ever since Weinstein, it's been rough out there.
And the Polanskis,
right?
Yeah, Jack. Anytime I'm around you, I feel like you're gonna jerk off into a potted plant at any time.
What?
A potted plant? Why would I do that when I have ample talent around? That makes
That's the Weinstein, man.
But yeah, I mean, it's just.
I'm too triggered to comment. See,
it's hard, and that's why Hollywood. I think that's the real reason Hollywood's been going down. Actually, is because basically they sloughed off all their Jewish producers. Gone, slough. Oh,
that's very
schlepped it on out.
Jewish.
Schloff sounds like a fake Yiddish word. Did you just make up? You just invented your own Yiddish word?
No.
I know that just sounds like you just schloffing things off. You like to do
you
that.
Like schloffing? All right, hold on. Let's go look at schloff. Schloffen.
Hey, are there people that do that in New York? They go, "You Jewish." I don't know.
Sloth.
In what way? That almost sounds like a threat.
What about?
Maybe it is. Maybe I'm inventing it right now. Maybe that's it.
I learned the proper way to say Long Island. See, I thought it, in proper English, coming from Washington State, Seattle, it's Long Island, but apparently it's Long Guyland. So, but you got to do it a little softer than that, and it's like Long Island.
All right.
So apparently that's how you're supposed to say Long Island. Is that true, Lou? If you were here, I'd put the mic up to your face, but
I would say no, but then if
What?
I
Really?
if I drank enough, then that accent would come out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you're from Queens.
Yeah.
I gotta ask somebody from Long Island.
What is this word? Come on. This
Slough
isn't
off.
What?
But I say it schlafen
As
off.
in to
schlafen.
lose, to get rid of, as
Shedding off.
useless
Slough
or
off.
unwanted.
Right.
Finally sloughed off the depression that had been
Slough.
weighing.
My
him down.
Yiddish mix-up is basically I add the schloff. So yeah, I'm just saying they lost it
You're
all.
such a
and they're
tired
good.
You put a little schmear on the schloff.
Schmear, exactly.
You
Schmear on,
the schloff.
on your bagel. Get some
Okay.
schmear on your bagel.
Basically, this is just a casting call for this Jewish producer to be like, hey, I've got the philosopher. I've got myself. Who else? Ooh. So
if it was a real casting call, there'd be a
we're
count.
gonna change
I thought I was in it already.
Let's produce Lou, right? And then we're gonna do a series of skits all weekend, and you're gonna go home not sleeping one bit. Sounds great.
Yeah, that does sound like a great weekend where we just 24/7 record
Yeah,
until Lou gets sick.
yeah.
And
Just
pukes,
kidding.
and
We'll
he's
just
like,
do
"I'm
a half
done."
day on Saturday, and we'll go to the beach.
I mean, now I'm really worried about this Airbnb I'm staying at. I'm gonna have to check for
Yeah, he's
cameras.
gonna look for like secret
No,
cameras.
all
in
you
every
gotta
corner.
worry.
It's like, why
all
is
you
there a
gotta worry
camera
about
right in the toilet?
Live stream with Lou, and it's like literally you at every
Who
single.
put that there? Your mom?
Whoa, that would
It'd
be
be terrible.
that would be
You-
terrible.
Well,
say
you
my mom
complain.
Well, do you
would-
guys know about
Well, you
Chuck
find
Berry?
it. You complain.
Did you
Well,
guys
how-
are you guys familiar with Chuck Berry, legendary rock and roll guitarist? I think he used to own like a some restaurants, and then in the bathroom, in the women's bathroom, he used to have hidden cameras. Yeah, so he got in big trouble for that.
So
yeah.
there's no more restaurants like that.
Well, he's not around. He's not around anymore. I think he passed
Canceled
away.
his restaurants.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's not right.
Woke cancel culture, man.
Yeah.
It's
What's
like,
up with that?
what's up with that? You can't film women, going number 1 and number 2.
No, I'm just saying, why did they just remove the cameras? But I guess it's more about the social.
It's like,
Once you mess that up, it's kind of hard to go.
what happened to this country? You used to be able to take pictures of women in bathrooms.
What
and they
happened to
didn't
forgive
know.
and forget, eh?
You used to be able to get your dick sucked for a roll.
What?
It was no harm, no foul. That
I
was
don't
it.
know. I don't know what you're talking about. I never did that.
Not for a roll.
I played
Nah.
the fifth.
Oh, wait,
Well-
did you mean for a roll? Like oh, shit.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm thinking about like a bread roll.
No, well, that's true too. Some will suck
That
for a roll.
used, yeah, I
They're
mean
so
that used to
into
be.
That's Chinatown. That's not
Also, when you
Uptown
become a
Manhattan.
dad, you go back to innocence.
yeah. It's like, hello, kids.
I've seen your skits.
G
No, I'm
to
just kidding.
yeah. NC-17
just
Lou
joking. It was
immediately
Greg.
goes to G rating the second he steps to that door.
There's We the Internet Lou, and then there's Greg and Lulu. Different kind of Lou's. I'm just saying, it's true,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Is it just me?
I think Lou's been lost since he lost his Jewish producers. I think that's really the tough thing.
What would you say to this claim, Lou? I don't know.
He leaves New York. He loses his Jewish producers.
So funny.
He's like a chicken with his head cut off. He's like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, what am I gonna do? Jack, help me out, man.
You actually agree? I was
Jack,
like,
you're my rabbi.
this is
Come on.
Mario
That's a
show?
rabbi.
Come on.
Oh, that's your next role. in
Bubba.
life, to be a
That's
rabbi.
actually what you need to do next. Is you need to do a character as a rabbi, right? And
I
so-
did once. I actually did once. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, what happened?
Years and years ago. It was for my group, the Wicked Hammer Cats, KATZ. And it was like
whoa.
I think it was a 48-hour film festival. And we made a
Okay.
short film.
Yeah.
And I played a rabbi whose synagogue is infested by ants. And he basically goes crazy and tries to murder all the ants. So like the final solution is murdering all the ants.
Hey, that was you.
Was
today.
this like a slow build? Yeah, we did actually murder some ants today.
Or
So
you did.
was it like a slow building, like character story? Like, what was it, more animated? Like, what? How did you present it?
It was live action. It was probably like a 6-minute video, and I remember I wasn't able to grow a beard at the time, so I have a fake beard that pasted on with Elmer's glue, and yeah, I had the yarmulke and all. So.
Wow,
that's so cool.
See, that's the kind of content we're missing.
So Lou played a Jew. Am I allowed to say?
Yeah, before Bradley Cooper. Yeah.
I know. So what if we made you Jewish Wolverine? There we go.
Well, the thing was with Jewish Wolverine, you can't circumcise him because it grows right back.
There you go. See, we're already going somewhere with this.
Yeah.
Oh, because in this case, right, it's not the right.
But what if he's a rabbi himself and he has to do the circumcisions? Not that we're saying we're for circumcisions here. It's just a skit, folks. Try not to get triggered. Don't cancel us. But I'm just saying, you're a rabbi with claws, and you do
you moil. You moil.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Hey, I can do it to your dad.
And he was a moil, he was a moil during Vietnam, during World War II, during the Civil War, just the Revolutionary War,
Brith.
Yeah.
Bris? Is that what you just
Brith.
Brith. Doing the brith, the Jewish ceremony of circumcision.
It's terrible.
So, Steamer said, and what does this do with guns? You want to talk to a real Joe knows guns? PM me. Spoken.
Stephen Marcus stepped
up. What does PM mean?
A private message.
Private message. Ooh, not DM.
Well, it used to be PMs, and then we got DMs. So it went from P to D.
Yeah, Stephen is an old real Jew who still uses PM. He still has an AOL account.
That would be
all right. Well, if you want to talk, you show up to the range event and you don't shoot Lou.
And that's how you get your clients is through AIM. You're still using AIM or Messenger, MSN Messenger, if that's.
Can I just say something?
Of course.
Yeah, if you guys come to the range, definitely don't shoot me. Yeah, not a bit.
What are you gonna say?
Not
seriously.
Yeah. I hope not. I would think it's more likely that you'd shoot yourself, but we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go through all the safety basics.
It's gonna be like was it the movie Ghost, where they do the clay formation thing, or is that Dirty Dancing? What am I?
Ghost. I think
that's
Ghost.
Ghost. Okay, right. We're gonna do that, but you and the firearm. So it's gonna be wrapping around, feeling the gun together, molding it.
I make my own AR, basically. I put it together.
Craft it together.
Yeah, I 3D print something. I get Cody Wilson sends me some plans or something like that. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. Just he's got to be careful who he texts online because he doesn't have a good online text rate.
Oh, Chuck Berry.
You just circled back from 10 minutes ago.
Well, someone's David called me out. He's like, okay, these kids don't know who Chuck Berry was.
Sorry.
Period.
Can you go back?
Yeah.
Can you go back to that picture or this picture? Now imagine that guy watching film of you taking a dump.
What?
Faux, yeah. Right. That's what that guy was into.
Wow.
What?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like my dad.
Is it in the Wikipedia article?
Things to me.
It could be. Let's see.
I wonder how they cover it.
Early life, and then it's
no, there's definitely later life when he was filming women in the bathrooms.
Physical and sexual abuse allegations. There you go. He was charged with assaulting a woman at New York's.
That's terrible.
How do you say that? Gramercy? Is that what you do? I don't know. Gramercy.
Gramercy.
Oh, Gramercy. Thank you. Thank you.
It's terrible.
He was sued by several women, claimed he installed a video camera in 1990. Wow. In a restaurant. Wow.
I wanted to look up his music, but this kind of
he said he's trying to catch a worker who was stealing, because as you know, the best way to catch a worker stealing is to look what they do while they're pooping.
Well, the thing is, I think
he
thought that the worker was in cahoots with every woman who used the bathroom, and that they would be stealing stuff and putting it in the woman.
Right.
At least that's how I would.
I don't know why I fan the air as if
seems like he was a pretty bad guy. Look at 62 grams of marijuana. Wow.
Just thinking about this, I smell poop. It smells terrible. I don't even want to read this anymore.
All right.
Should I look up his music, Lou, or no?
I just want to know how many people Lou knows about who have like put cameras in bathrooms. How many?
How many?
Yeah, how many can you list?
Oh, off the top of my head?
Yeah.
Here.
Well, I mean, in my book, I have a whole chapter on it.
Oh yeah, see your book.
Which is great reading for
Great
the bathroom. So if
Yes.
you're gonna go to a bathroom and be filmed, you probably want to have my book with you there.
That's true. That's true. And where can people get your book?
You can get it everywhere. Amazon, Barnes and Noble, indie books. That joke isn't funny anymore. That's the book. That's right.
Yeah, right over
there, next to the hand.
Next to the hand, next to the fisting. So on that note, you will be able to get the book at our event. So if you
signed, right?
Signed.
I would love to sign the book.
Would you sign it from the bathroom?
Sure.
Someone said take it to the bathroom. And,
I mean, do I have to do it for every book?
But no.
He's willing to sign it even in the bathroom. That's a good
Would you
a good experience.
No.
That's customer service. That's going the extra mile.
I went along and then I said no.
So basically, as we sent the link down below, it's going to be September 9th at Reload Gun Range. There's going to be a comedy show. Lou is awesome. 4:30 to 5:30.
Near Tampa Bay.
Yeah, near Tampa area. There's
Gulf
going to
of
be
Mexico side.
Half-hour break, then a range time, so an hour-long shoot. So we're going to shoot some guns with Lou. Hopefully he doesn't get too scared. And then at the VIP mixer after at 7:30,
he doesn't have much experience, he said. So, you know, he might be like, can I just have the 22? My name's Lou. I'm sorry. I love saying your name.
He's like,
you're absolutely right. You're right. I do say it excessively.
No, Lou is strong. He's been working out. He can handle all
I like your wife's
everything.
name too. I was like, hey.
Man, you are all over the place tonight.
It's like when you're like hanging out with your friends. That's how it is in person.
It is. It's spastic and it's crazy, but we're going to keep the bullets down range. So thank you so much, Lou, for coming on. Thank you for freezing.
Oh, no, he froze.
Yeah, he's at the face face. Thanks for staying here. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for coming on to our show.
Thank you for tolerating us this long.
Thank you, guys. And I'll see you in the bathroom.
That you will. All right, take care, Lou.
Check out his book
and check
his website and his Twitter and
all.
Instagram. And his hat.
And his hat.
And my hat.
All right. So on that note, before we get into bigger things, I do appreciate Lou. Lou is awesome. I love that guy. And the way he tolerates our nonsense, it is.
I know.
It is truly.
I feel like though we got through a lot
amazing.
of content. Like we're like, where are you from? What's accents? And we even got philosophical. I was like, is this the monthly topic? We should just switch right to the memes. You know, that's how I felt.
I mean, it could have been, but we're not there yet. So before we go get to the main topic, the good stuff, let's quickly give a little
our sponsors.
Thank you.
Yes. We would like to thank our sponsor, Fiducer, Custom Joe Roasting at www.cjroasting.com. Organic fair trade coffee is what you can get there. And still the code works. Even though it's 2022 and it's 2023, it still works. FUD-2022, 10% off. And if it doesn't work, email me at thephilosopher@gmail.com. Okay, we'll figure it out. But I'm pretty sure it worked last time I checked. So thank you so much. Love that whole bean coffee. Been grinding it myself for Jack and I. It's fun.
It is good. I've been drinking it. It's great.
I love it.
Can approve.
Thank you. Beto Destrafa, thank you so much for being a fiducer all these years. You're awesome. Please stay awesome. Thank you so much. And Crawford K. McDonald, so many years. Thank you so much for being a fiducer all this time.
Look at that winning smile.
Look at that smile.
Yeah, that's right, guys.
His name's Crawford, not associated with Ronald K. McDonald.
No. And he's a legal, so he's extra winning. Okay.
All right. Thank you, fiducers. So on to the monthly topic here. Thank you so much for everyone hanging out. I hope you had fun with Lou. I think he had a fun time as well. He said bye, you guys. So it was great. Okay, so what is the topic of this month?
So this is how the U.S. government armed terrorist groups, and basically a lot of the themes here that the U.S. government arms people in the name of trying to stop some greater evil, and then those people go on to become the new enemies. So blowback continues on and on and on. Right. So we're going to talk about two of the key ones here, which is Operation Cyclone, the first one, Afghanistan, and then Operation Timber Sycamore. And so we're going to refer to the wonderful Macy's Institute for this first preview. In fact, it's by Jose Nino. We've met that guy. He's a good writer on gun stuff, so he's great.
Oh yes.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about this topic.
All right, the blowbacks of the war on terror, so-called war on terror. All right, so this article written by Jose is called "The Roots of the Afghanistan War." So this was in 2021. After completing a controversial withdrawal from Afghanistan in late August, the United States is facing valid questions about the legitimacy of its foreign escapades launched in the last 20 years under the banner of fighting terrorism. War on terror, there you go. It would be wishful thinking to assume that the architects of the prolonged occupation of Afghanistan recognize the error of their ways. Nevertheless, the record should be set straight on how the nation-building project in Afghanistan was ill-fated from the jump. On top of that, it would behoove us to understand the factors that drew the U.S. into this conflict in the first place. Rewinding the tape back to the Cold War provides a nuanced perspective on what propelled the U.S. to intervene in Afghanistan. All right. Afghanistan against the backdrop of the Cold War. During the Cold War, Afghanistan initially maintained equidistance from the two superpowers, the U.S. and the Soviet Union. Though the game changed after the Swar Revolution, a revolution where the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan overthrew the Republic of Afghanistan, led by then-President Mohammad Dawud Khan, PDPA member Hafizullah Amin ordered the coup that resulted in the slaughter of Khan. You just kind of went past there. Thank you. That resulted in the slaughter of Khan and most of his family. That's terrible. Once the dust settled, PDPA General Secretary Nur Muhammad Taraki assumed the role of president of the newly formed Democratic Republic of Afghanistan. Once settled down, the DRA quickly aligned itself with the Soviets. Despite its pro-Soviet alignment, the DRA was mired in internal intrigue from the outset, which the Soviets watched with unease. The DRA's repressive nature provoked massive resistance from the Afghan population as well, another factor that raised eyebrows in Moscow. As the two most prominent leaders of the DRA, Taraki and Amin, were constantly jockeying for power, with the latter's faction subsequently overthrowing Taraki and assassinating him in September 1979. Even after taking the reins of power, Amin's position was precarious as he continued meting out repressive measures against the Afghan population. A controversial crackdown on the city of Herat a few months earlier had sparked a national insurrection, and the DRA was faced with the prospects of a civil war. The resistance to the DRA was diverse, although an Islamist element became the prevailing force of the anti-DRA coalition. The Soviets were already perturbed by the growing Islamist movements in Afghanistan's neighborhood, namely the Iranian Revolution in 1979 next door. In the Soviets' view, the downfall of Afghanistan to Islamist movements could put the Central Asian Soviet republics in jeopardy due to the large Islamic populations that lived in these regions. A potential jihadist pipeline going straight into its Central Asian subdivisions was something the Soviets were not going to tolerate. Add in the Soviets' anxiety over Amin's harsh rule of Afghanistan, and the idea of intervening in the embattled South Asian nation became a matter of stabilizing the Soviets' periphery. Wow, Jose, you extensive vocabulary. Okay. In late December 1979, Soviet forces pulled the trigger and invaded Afghanistan. The U.S. enters the Afghan picture. So throughout Afghanistan's descent into chaos, the U.S. was preparing plans to take the side of the insurgents. Following the humiliations of the Vietnam War, I know about that, and the Iranian hostage crisis of 1979, American foreign policy strategists were looking for a quick win. Salivating at the conflict unfolding in Afghanistan, National Security Advisor, that's going to be a little, Zbigniew Brzezinski, okay, Polish? I don't know, convinced then President Jimmy Carter that the U.S. could bait the Soviet Union into a Vietnam-style quagmire in Afghanistan. Carter signed off on Operation Cyclone toward the end of 1979. Operation Cyclone would become the best funded and lengthiest CIA operation in American history. In total, the Carter administration and the succeeding Reagan administration allocated $20 billion to train and equip Afghan insurgents to fight Soviet forces. Taxation is theft, and the Federal Reserve needs to end. All right. Oh, hey, Darius. Why doesn't Carter get any blame on Afghanistan?
He deserves it.
He gets it from us in public school. Why? Because he is used as an excuse to expand government. Don't you know we need a big old government that takes $20 billion by force and just throws it all away and creates blowback for you? That's what we need. It's for civil society. All right. Sarcasm. Okay, the Afghan conflict heats up. Although the Soviets invaded to ostensibly stabilize the Afghan government, Soviet agents stormed the Afghan presidential palace and assassinated Amin on December 27, 1979. The Soviets viewed the Amin regime as an errant client and used the country's internal strife to justify their intervention. But Barak Karmal, who was exiled to Prague during the purge Amin launched against dissenting factions of the PDPA, would be installed as the general secretary of the PDPA and would remain in that position until 1986. With Karmal's installation as the head of the Afghan state, the Soviet-Afghan War began in earnest. The Soviet-Afghan War turned out to be a harrowing endeavor for the Soviets. The Mujahideen, quote, or holy warriors, insurgents they faced were a formidable force. While decentralized and made up of numerous competing factions, these rebels were united by their hatred of the Soviet invasion of their homeland. Makes sense. Makes sense from a very, base property rights perspective there. We just got to, the excuse of like your own government that you're born into. There's, a disconnect. Anyway, throughout the Soviet-Afghan conflict, the Mujahideen received plenty of assistance from abroad. Outside of American military and intelligence support, the Mujahideen also counted on aid from China, Saudi Arabia, the United Kingdom, Pakistan, and Israel, among other states. Furthermore, the Mujahideen's ranks began to be filled with Islamist fighters from Gulf Arab states who were keen on dishing out massive pain against the godless Marxist invaders from the Soviet Union. In particular, countries like Pakistan and Saudi Arabia had strong geopolitical interests in Afghanistan. Pakistan's Inter-Services Intelligence, so their CIA basically, agency poured millions into the country to not only push back the Soviets, but also extend Pakistan's influence over Afghanistan. Likewise, the Saudis saw the Soviet-Afghan War as an opportunity to spread their fundamentalist Wahhabi sect of Islam. The strange bedfellows formed in Afghanistan. Some of the big names we have grown accustomed to hearing about since the U.S.'s invasion of Afghanistan in 2001 cut their teeth in this Cold War battle zone. Of those holy warriors who were lavished by foreign funds were future president of Afghanistan Hamid Karzai and al-Qaeda mastermind Osama bin Laden. The latter was one of the significant Afghan Arabs who joined the jihadist frenzy in Afghanistan. These Arab Muslim fighters took advantage of the foreign largesse bequeathed to the Mujahideen and used the funds to start building their own networks. So literally U.S. government funding actual terrorism in the so-called war on terror. Just actually perpetuating it and creating it. While the Mujahideen were coming to blows with the Soviets, the American regime ran an effective PR campaign to portray the Mujahideen as unsullied freedom fighters. One of the most glowing depictions of these freedom fighters can be found in Rambo the Third. I don't think I've seen that movie. Starring internationally recognized action movie star Sylvester Stallone. Pretty sure I've seen the title, just not it. Anyway, which takes place in a fictionalized version of the Afghan conflict. For those who lived through the War on Terror, it would almost seem unimaginable to ponder the idea of the U.S. making common cause with the Islamists. I know I didn't know that. Like, it was such a surprise to me when I first heard about it. Because, like, having been in school, for example, and really young when, like, 2001 happened and September 11th, I just remember being like, oh, no, this is a direct attack, and, like, believing it all and feeling the feelings of, like, okay, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance today, like extra proud, you know, like I remember that. I remember like being totally in the statist US nationalist mindset. So, anyway, where were we? Oh, okay. Right. So I'll just read it again. For those who lived through the War on Terror, it would almost seem unimaginable to ponder the idea of the U.S. making common cause with Islamists. During this era, it was commonplace to hear about a conflict of civilizations taking place between Islam and the West. But as geopolitics has repeatedly shown, forging alliances of convenience is the norm, especially when the interests of two unrelated parties converge. In the twilight years of the Soviet Union, the goal was to present Islamism as a viable alternative to communism. That said, foresight has never been a strong suit of U.S. strategists. Few of them could have predicted that a significant minority of the Islamic radicals involved in the 1980s Afghan campaign would end up turning against the West slightly over a decade later. As long as the weapons and intelligence poured in to give the Soviets a headache in Afghanistan, everything was a-okay. I don't know if I agree with just pure ignorance here, but maybe some. But anywho, while the U.S. was able to give the Soviets a bloody nose by pouring billions into the Mujahideen, it's undeniable that it created a Frankenstein's monster that ended up turning on its American creator. Americans would learn this the hard way on 9/11, which will be discussed in the next part of the series. All right, so that's Jose from the writer for the Mises Institute. Cool.
Right, so that's kind of a little summary of that backdrop, with Operation Cyclone arming the Mujahideen, right, and how that led to the blowback of Carter. The Taliban, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is not talked about. I remember, like, just talking about President Carter. It's like, oh, he's a good guy,
Jay Carter.
Yeah, he's just another good president, to the progressives. Oh, and Narcorica says, my husband, we weren't married yet, was going to re-enlist after 9/11. I had found out about a week or two after that. I was pregnant and said, heck no. Oh, good for you. And congrats. Oh, wow. So, dang. Okay, so your kid must be, minus 2001. That's cool. Whoa, 22.
All right, let's talk about
congrats. That's awesome. I'm glad he didn't go. All right, next article. So this is on The Intercept by Mehdi Hassan. Oh, I've actually followed him on Twitter before. All right. Everyone is denouncing the Syrian rebels now, slaughtering Kurds. But didn't the U.S. once support some of them? It's a lazy, cynical rewriting of history to pretend these groups have nothing to do with the U.S. or were never backed by the U.S. in their current form. U.S. government. Okay. Question. What unites Lindsey Graham, Marco Rubio, Hillary Clinton, Samantha Power, Nancy Pelosi, David Petraeus, Tom Friedman, and the editorial board of the Washington Post? Wow, the entire editorial board. Wow. Answer, their support for arming what they called moderate Syrian rebel groups between 2013 and 2017. In recent weeks, Syrian rebel groups described only as Turkish-backed have murdered and mutilated their way across Kurdish-controlled areas of northeastern Syria. These fighters are guilty of war crimes, declared U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper in a recent interview. Those responsible should be held accountable. Esper, or is it Esperanto, told CNN's Christian Amanpour. In many cases, the government of Turkey should be held accountable. I happen to agree with him. The government of Turkey has much to answer for, given that many of the horrific killings have been captured on camera. But I would like to see people in Washington, D.C., quote, held accountable too. Top Democrats and Republicans have joined together to loudly and rightly lambast the Trump administration for abandoning their allies in the Kurdish-dominated Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF. Clinton has decried the sickening horror of Kurdish men, women, and children being slaughtered by Turkish-backed groups, while the likes of Petraeus and Graham have accused these groups of ethnic cleansing. These politicians, however, have stayed conveniently silent on their own prior advocacy on behalf of many of these rebels, while journalists have shamefully refused to mention the U.S. government's prior support for them. Have we so quickly forgotten how the CIA backed a range of secular and Islamist militias to fight Assad via the covert program Timber Sycamore, while the Pentagon vetted moderate fighters to fight ISIS via the congressionally approved Train and Equip program? The former, according to a U.S. official, led to the death or injury of 100,000 Syrian army troops and their allies, while the latter was coordinated with, wait for it, Turkey. The groups that were educated and equipped by the United States west of the Euphrates, wrote Turkish journalist Fihim Tastikin for Al Monitor, are now fighting against the groups east of the Euphrates that have been also educated and equipped by the United States. You wouldn't know this, though, from watching or reading the mainstream U.S. media. The New York Times described the Turkish-backed rebels only as fighters the United States had long rejected as extremists, criminals, and thugs. Denialism abounds. In the wake of the fourth Democratic presidential debate, I tweeted about the hypocrisy of top Democrats who wanted to arm Syrian rebels, but now slam many of those same Syrian rebels. Should we read that tweet there? That's related.
Sure.
Okay. So he wrote, people hate Tulsi, and I'm no fan of hers, as many of you know, and she has lots of questions to answer about her Assad apologism, but she's right about the hypocrisy of DC folks, including top Dems who wanted to arm Syrian rebels, but now slam many of those Syrian rebels. Okay, cool. Charles Lister, an analyst with the Middle East Institute, called me ill-informed. The fighters killing Kurds, he claimed, are not the same as the Free Syrian Army, or FSA, aka the secular and moderate fighters who were openly backed by the West in the initial stages of the conflict. Shane Bauer, a reporter with Mother Jones, said it was extremely dishonest of me to conflate the FSA of 2012 and 2013 with the mercenaries fighting for Turkey now. There's some validity to this argument, although some of the Turkish-backed fighters currently attacking the Kurds did indeed fight with the FSA back in 2012 and 2013. Some of them did not. Many of these fighters were 10 years old when the conflict started. As one critic of mine observed, others noted how plenty of Syrian rebels were radicalized over the course of a bloody conflict in which the repressive Bashar Assad regime used chemical weapons, barrel bombs, starvation, and mass torture against them. I don't disagree for the Russian government or Representative Tulsi Gabbard to suggest that every Syrian rebel group began as an offshoot of Al-Qaeda or the Islamic State group filled only with terrorists or jihadis is a lazy and cynical rewriting of history. The Syrian revolution began in March 2011 with nonviolent protests from Daraa to Damascus against a vicious dictator who responded with shocking violence. Young men such as Abdul Baset al-Sarat, the former goalkeeper in Syria's national youth football team who's profiled in the acclaimed documentary Return to Homs, went from leading chants in the streets in 2011, as The Guardian noted, to reluctantly becoming a battle-worn leader for the militia. He was killed this summer fighting for an Islamist militia against government forces in the north of the country. Wow, that's sad. Just the life events. Plenty of these Syrian rebels, both Arabs and Kurds, both Islamists and secularists, fought not only against the Assad government, but also against Al-Qaeda and ISIS. There were, however, other rebel groups that were dominated by violent Salafists and so-called jihadists from the start, and who bragged about fighting alongside Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The truth is that many of the rebel forces now committing war crimes against the Kurds were also committing war crimes in the early years of the Syrian civil war. And here's the problem. It is an equally lazy and cynical rewriting of history to pretend that these groups have nothing to do with the United States or were never backed by the U.S. government in their current form or with their current personnel. Nice. That was a nice. I like how he balanced it with like, oh, okay, this is what my critics would say. And he like actually presents their information. He's like, okay, I somewhat agree here. But he was just saying like, it would be false to say that there was never U.S. Government involvement.
Well, he was addressing more so the all or nothing thinking, basically, which is that what it boils down to everything. Yes, there's people who are independently fighting. There's multiple interests, but this idea of like, oh, you know, the government giving a bunch of weapons to all these people, you know, in the name of, oh, okay, these are the Syrian freedom fighters, like, and that has no blowback effect or no long-term thing. It's just nonsense, just like arming,
and that it was just unrelated, right? It had no effect, no cause and effect there.
Exactly.
It just was benign, and
so that's
don't worry about it. $20 billion, don't worry about it, right? And that all the money, the billions going to Ukraine. What are we gonna see?
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
that's gonna be another blowback.
It's happening again.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like
there's gonna be all these weapons.
The culture finally, you know, increased for like what happened after, you know, the calls for the war on terror with post 9/11 in 2001. People have gotten really sick of it, but it took like 20 years, like literally like 20 years for people to more widely from a cultural perspective in America to understand like what happened in the Middle East and to unilaterally be like, hey, we shouldn't be there. So lo and behold, you got a conflict in Europe, and you know, specifically a war, and it's like, oh my gosh, we got to save the day again. And you know, this is literally like what happened, you know, with Hitler. Like, that's what we need to do. Don't you want to stop Hitler? Okay, therefore we need to send billions of dollars to Ukraine. Specifically to the Ukrainian government. Okay, that's not even like, you know, we're gonna send doctors, we're gonna help people who are dying. Like, no, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to send actual food and stuff like that. No, we're going to send guns, and we're going to send them to the government. the Ukrainian
which, of course,
government.
The issue there fundamentally
which itself
is
is not.
It can be used to continue to oppress people. And I will address two things real quick.
Yeah.
Darius Thurman said a super chat.
Oh, thank you so much.
And he said, how would ANCAP have dealt with the Soviet Union in the Cold War in spite of America's status, and the Soviets were clearly more authoritarian? And I actually want to, as with anything that's a question of oh, what would you deal with this? You always have to go back to the beginning, right? Because you can't just take it at the superficial, okay, here's now this one situation without the history. And I think this ties in neatly to what we were just talking about, because a little bit of history about that with the Soviet Union needs to be taken from the World War II supplying the Lead-Lease program to Soviet Union. So basically, the U.S. government gave the Soviets, right, to help them win the war, 400,000 Jeeps and trucks, 14,000 airplanes, 8,000 tractors, 13,000 tanks, 1.5 million blankets, 15 million pairs of army boots, 107,000 tons of cotton, 2.7 million tons of petrol products, and 4.5 million tons of food, right? So literally the U.S. government loaded up the Soviet Union with a huge army of trucks and airplanes and basically tanks, 13,000 tanks, man. So the U.S. government gives the Soviet Union all these supplies that lets them, you know, keep fighting in the war and then, you know, be able to manage to you know, keep going after things. And people try to downplay this, like, oh, well, those tanks, those Jeeps, that, you know, they became outmoded quickly, and
literally
they weren't
just given
50s.
though.
And it's like,
this
no,
is
dude,
not even purchased. This is given.
These
sent.
Things,
you know,
literally enabled the Soviet Union to be strong during and after the war, and gave them the needed push to basically start what was the Cold War, because they had all these supplies to hold them over through the war, and of course to still use after the war. So it's really hilarious when people talk about this, you know, this like, well, what about the situation? Because you could almost always go back one, you know, era and be like, oh, look at that. They're enemies now, but the government was funding them 30 years ago or giving them weapons 30 years ago. You could do it almost every time for everything. And that includes right now with the USSR, had the US government literally supplied them with $11.3 billion in goods at that time. By the way, that is 180 billion in today's dollars adjusted for inflation. Okay. They gave them 180 billion. Okay. So think about that, 180 billion to the Soviet Union that became, you know, the oppressive, you know, totalitarian state that it did. And that's really the core. It's that the government.
So how would ANCAPs have dealt with it?
So one was not giving them the resource in the first place. But the second part too, just the economics of it, besides that, is simply that these governments that have these types of central planning situations collapse very quickly. They can't fundamentally actually sustain themselves. And that's what happened to the Soviet Union. They spent so much money on spy network.
Motive.
Right. They destroyed everything. Everything was deteriorating quickly. Right. So a lot of again, how this goes in every country, whether it's China or wherever, they can only subsist so long as they still give some lip service to capitalism. They do not have the ability to go.
That's why in China they had like cities where they allowed more or less laissez-faire like capitalism to some extent, like at least less taxes, making it easier to start a business, less licenses, things like that, and actually making it nice for trade, and then creating spots for trade like Hong Kong technically was, so
right. Well, they basically
they
had capitalism. They call themselves
we need
communists.
Money,
right? But later
so let's create a little place for just people we give permission to live more free than the other people.
Well, specifically in the history of it with the Color Revolution, the more they came to, not having a free market, the more people were dying and suffering. And they did the stupid things like killing all the birds. And then, all of a sudden there was, infestations of the crops because of, insect overpopulation, all that stuff. So they suffered and they had to move back toward capitalism, which did happen up through about 2019. And they started to go back, toward the CCPs, like real, like, okay, we're going to make this more communist again, which really is just, this is not even communist. They're more just central planning, totalitarian. You need to pay off the party, but you can have a business as long as you pay off the party. So, that's what it is. And any of these places like the Soviet Union, where they meaningfully try to do socialism or communism, to some degree, they just collapse. They can't sustain it. That's why you have Cuba. They're like so broke there, and it's so deteriorated.
Except for those in power, right? They
right. The people in power.
It's
right. They steal the resources and they trade outside. Right. So, right. So you got to let it collapse. You got to let freedom, because again, it's also a psychological learning lesson, right? So essentially, if you don't have people learn from the failures of these governments, you don't have a cultural shift of people actually resisting it, right? What good is it? Oh, we changed the government. This is what happened with the US over in the Middle East. What good is violently changing the government if the people don't have any principles about why those governments are bad? Right? Like, what good is it? They just go straight back to it. That's why everything's a mess over there. So again, you can't force people to be free unless they want to actually be free. And they have to see the dangers of totalitarianism before they get that message like, oh, okay, that's bad. We don't want this again. Right? So
great question. Thanks.
You take this, Super
Thanks,
Galactic.
Darius. Oh, this is Super Galactic Fantastic Dimension.
Yeah, aka Jerry.
Oh, what's up, Jerry? Okay, hey guys, it's important that we never forget the true history of the U.S. terrorism and blowback. Ron Paul opened my eyes to this, or my mind to this, and you guys are continuing his great legacy. Thank you. Oh, that's what an honor. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And
check out his comic series. It's on Amazon, Super Galactic Fantastic Dimension. So he's coming out. He's been working on some next level things. So
yeah,
he super cool.
I love seeing you host it on ANCAP Comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
If you go to ANCAP Comics,
COMIX ANCAP Comics,
COMIX.com. You can check out his stuff's listed there. There's links to it, and a couple of creators too. So, all right, so we're going to switch on over to a certain last fun bit. Do you know what it is?
Yes, we're gonna.
Yes, freeze.
Funny memes. There you go.
Yes, freeze.
Custom intro or segment. All right, let's see what Jack has for me today. It better be funny. No, I'm just kidding. The homeless guy, at the gas station, watching me walk with snacks after I told him I didn't have any money. Oh my gosh, that's so true. He's so short. All right, anyway. Oh, when I'm starving and they tell me, wait, let's take a picture.
That's a good one.
That's so true. That's me and Jack.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta take a picture.
Well, I'm especially starved. You're telling me the government solution to problems created by the government is more government? You don't say. Oh, I like that. Someone made that. That's cute.
Yeah. So I was short on memes, so I had a bunch of people make some memes.
This one says, shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck
That's good.
up.
Can we make that?
We can. We can make anything.
That is so good. Updated by golden memed moments. Thanks. That was so good. Shut the fuck up. Can we please get me that on a cup?
All right.
Somebody.
Anybody.
Right? Put that
me.
on Zazzle. Yeah. Namely Jack V. Lloyd over here. Status tears. It could be like Jack B. Lloyd making this t-shirt that's a shut the fuck up. It has a picture of a fuck. That'd be great. Why so mad? Memes getting too spicy. I don't know if
Too
that was the
spicy.
intention there. But
These are other people that made these memes, so
the government, your hard-earned money. So true. Just enjoying it. Slurping up every last drop. Nothing left. Okay, what is this? What the heck? Is this?
I don't know. Someone made this I guess
Why did they do the what emoji?
I-
It's so weird.
It's supposed to be the T coming out because it shot a hole in it because I guess a round bullet.
It
came
says,
through.
dang it, darling.
Ah,
Oh, that's funny. That's hilarious. You should vote harder the next time. I like how they added the. Was that on purpose?
I like that. I like it. You should, yeah. You should vote hard next time.
Oh, I get it. It's kind of like playing off like the sarcasm.
yeah. That's a good
Making
sarcastic
fun
one.
of
That's a
them.
good one. That's a good one. I like that.
I am the ANCAP. I speak for the trees, and they're speaking Vietnamese. And Cantonese. That's funny. Bulldozer Cup. That's good. These are
Killdozer
great.
Cup.
Or whoops, Killdozer Cup. It is a bull.
It is a bulldozer. It's also Killdozer.
I know. Sounds like status bullshit, but okay.
I kind of like that. That's a good one.
That's good. I love all these renditions.
Yeah,
They're
it's good.
hilarious.
We have a bunch of different ones.
Me shoot you full of hoes a long time. Isn't that what they're doing?
It is literally what they're doing.
Isn't that? So I thought I would do the voice that I thought there. Like instead of me love you long time.
love you long
It's me shoot you full of holes long
Me
time.
shoot
You know,
you
it's kind
full
of like
time.
it doesn't roll off the tongue anymore.
No,
but I
not
get
as much. This one you gotta look really close in for.
it. Oh, they should have continued it.
Right? And then it's
And
like
then you just
ooh,
zoom.
that would have been good, right?
You
keep
just like do
zooming,
the
And
constant.
you keep
zoom.
zooming and you just like it's another one. That'd be
You
good.
could.
That's a good idea. That's good.
You could.
You could.
Really good. If we're fighting each other, we can't fight the enemy. It's so true. There's nothing truer than that, Jack.
That's true. So stop fighting me.
You're fighting me. All right. Me watching the mainstream media scramble to drag Javier Milei through the mud after winning the Argentinian primary election because he's ANCAP.
He ain't cat.
They're like, what? He's ANCAP? He's not pushing the climate change, authoritarian, vegan, anti-meat, anti-family agenda. Right?
McAdams
He's
said
ANCAP.
that he's CIA.
Let's get him. That's probably what's going on in the rooms. Let's get him. You know.
I do
All
know.
right. It's your money and freedom. Why still pay taxes? Why still pay those taxes?
I know, right?
What?
Exactly. I don't know.
Wait, it's your money
pulled
and
it off.
freedom. All right, we're gonna send you back to remedial. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine.
To remedial. Oh, get back. There we go.
It's okay. You just gotta Google it and then it'll correct. Feeling cute. Might espouse some libertarian values later. I don't know. No, more like every day. All
Every
the
damn
time.
day.
I was looking at the wrong camera the whole time. I feel
No, that's
silly.
good. That's the best.
When you're about to try that in a small town. That's so good. I love that, right? When you're about to try that in a small town, everyone's like, don't you dare. That's
Don't you
here in
dare.
Florida.
Don't
That's
you
how
dare.
it be out
Don't
here
you
in
dare.
Florida. You don't mess down here in Florida. Therapists, when they see a girl with blue hair walking in, smells money. Okay, I don't know.
I love that one. It's sick man. Smell the money. Like,
Oh, that's Vince McMahon. Oh my gosh.
so good.
Wow, it's silly. Your poop watching you scroll through my memes for 30 minutes. Okay.
Vegeta.
That's so funny that that's Vegeta. It's hilarious.
The Pope.
That's a cool pool though. Like
That's
the
nice,
lights
very
are
nice.
like shining on it. and
I
stuff.
think that's
Oh,
about
that's it. That
That's
was
it.
amazing. Wow. You made Anarcha Rika laugh. She went, ha ha ha.
She did. She laughed.
Thank you. TZ Burton said, great memes of you. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, we have one more super chat.
We're gonna handle this. He says, I have criticism of blowback. Darius Sermon says, if America is to blame, why have Islamists committed attacks in Euro nations
All right, I'll let you
that didn't
handle
intervene in the
this.
Middle East? Oh, well, I mean, that's it. That's an easy one. There's tons of ones for that. Because it's like, I mean, there's multiple layers to this when you're thinking about it. First and foremost, we're talking about there's many different countries that have supported different things in the Middle East, like in terms of like sending assistance or sending everyone, all like from England to Australia, there's people who've done stuff in the name of the war on top. So that's just not anything, but it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. They could have not, it doesn't matter. The point is that the weapons that they got empowered them, those who are radical, who actually want to install a caliphate, those who are actually, radical jihadists, it gave them the means to try to go and enact that, right? If you arm them all up, and some of those people are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to, build a fundamentalist, nationalist Islamic empire. Well, guess what? They're going to have that ability now because you armed them up and they can go and invade.
And from a practical sense, Europe's way closer to the Middle East than America.
Yeah, it's way
like
easier to
it's so hard to get to America in comparison. Like, you could technically walk, right? You can.
Oh yeah,
it's connected. The whole landmass is connected. Middle East, Europe.
It's like they're Mexico to us. Mexico is to America what the Middle East is to the the Southern European countries. So it's just walk right on up.
Yeah, so it's just even China's connected. Russia, like that whole region. I mean, that's why you can see there's a lot of conflict going on. And then in America, it's like they're farther.
And then there's
they sent so much money and weapons over.
Well, and there's also the attacks too, when the government's destabilizing everything and blowing everybody up, just like in Mexico. Oh, okay, the war on drugs destabilizes things there, lets the cartels run, the government's all corrupt. Oh, okay, well, there's clearly spillover, people fleeing to America for good reason, just like there's people who flee the Middle East, like, well, Cuba, this sucks, I'm getting blown up, and there's all these, they're like, oh, I'll flee to, Europe. So it's not weird. These are just normal incentives of basically
like, oh, the migrant crisis. The migrant crisis. Well, literally that was a direct effect. We're talking cause and effect here of the wars in the Middle East.
Right.
Destabilizing a region kind of makes people who live there not want to live there.
Because it's unpopular.
And probably go, okay, do I go to China?
Right.
Well, probably not. Do I go to Russia? No. Okay, Europe. Okay. At least it's more like stable.
When you have resources,
you can see why people would migrate from the Middle East who have been blown out of their homes quite literally.
Right. When you have prosperity, when you have family, when you have resources, it's not very attractive to try to escape to another place. It's not attractive, right? You're like, oh, I have a nice house. I have a car. I have good food. I have families here.
Yeah, like why would you?
People don't do that.
It's annoying to move.
Right. People don't do that. They do it when they're
at to settle.
Desperation. Like, okay, literally staying here is crazy. I'm going to die. Like, so these attacks and these, playing, dictator swaps and all these different types of armaments of different groups, playing political chess creates all this blowback and tons of civilians dead and kids growing up with their families, and then they get radicalized in these groups. So it's just one big vicious cycle. It's horrible.
And it's not to say never try, right? So back to like, what would an ANCAP society do? There is no collective decision in an ANCAP society, number one. That's the first thing. That's where you have then now differences in what people would choose to do. You may have people choose to actually like arm up and do clandestine operations there by themselves, have their own weapons and go, like taking on all their own risk, everything like that, right? Not sponsored by any government, because there is no government, right? In Ancapistan, it's all about your own personal property rights. You could also send aid to people there as well, like with your own money. The point is, you're just not forced. Everyone's not forced. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of millions of people forced in America to make a mistake and forced to fund many mistakes and things that lead to actual blowback, have zero decision, zero consent, no choice whatsoever, and where their money goes, who it goes to. So what would an Ancapistan society do? Well, first of all, you as an individual would be empowered to choose. So isn't that like what you want regardless? it is insane to me. Like, honestly, it's just so insane. The idea of like, when you learn that taxation is theft, to think that we still need it. You know, you're literally forcing your neighbor by gunpoint to fund the things that you declare as having value, instead of like using your voice, trading voluntarily, offering something of value, monetary value to them, maybe exchanging labor or something like that. You can have civil society and things that you already have today without just this insane excuse for using, you know, men and women with guns, goons, to come in and force you to give up money to fulfill the ideals and the ideas of a group of a small group of people, or rather large group. If you look at Congress, it's like hundreds of people, like it's pretty large actually, and the number of government employees is huge. Rather, actually, it's not really a small monopoly here. It's a corporatocracy we got going on. Lots of cronyism, lots of big pharma, big military industrial complex, big public school, big charter school coming up, big school choice, big public school choice, God. Taxation vouchers.
So you're right. So essentially,
same old centralism, cronyism that doesn't work. And when mistakes are made, they're huge because everyone was forced to fund it. Right? It wasn't like, oh, mistakes were made, but it's like, oh, those group of people, they chose to use their money, you're okay. And now we have competing forces to come in and kind of like take over. Right? When you're forced to have all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, that's what you have with a really big government, like we do with the US federal government.
Right. And of course, talking in these terms isn't really like meaningful in terms of the present of what we have. So that's why I have my book, Vision for Libertarian Future, which is the A to B thing, talking about, okay, how do we move to there?
Transition in Capistan from today? Right.
Right. So, but fundamentally, the core principles are there no matter what, which is the idea that it should not be forced upon people to fund these things and to fight for other people's wars and things like that. So that's just what it boils down to, is property rights and individual consent. And so any type of problem you can imagine in the world needs to be first thought of, you know, through that lens. So
great answer.
Yeah.
And thanks for your question, Darius. Hope it was helpful. And thank you so much for your super chats. And everybody, should we wrap it up here? Is there anything else?
I guess one last, well, do you want to?
Oh, yeah.
So we're not going to do live stream. We're going to switch back to the video format. Is that for sure?
Well, I think so. I just think, you know, we've, I don't know what people think, but I've kind of just gotten the feel and read some comments, you know, here and there, having tried the monthly live stream since January of this year. So 8 months now, 8 months in a row. Just seeing like, okay, what is it like to have this sort of live interaction? And frankly, it's really nice to have like the one-on-one streams. So we want to keep doing live streams. I want to keep doing live streams. I think it's really great. But one thing I did miss a lot was, the monthly videos. I did miss having something like, you know, less than 5 minutes on a topic I really care about, and, you know, supporters being able to choose the topics. Like my supporters have been able to choose topics on the monthly streams and all, but it's different when you can make like a quick polished video that's just very to the point. And also it's going to be in my own words and not just like, you know, going through different other people's articles and stuff like that. So I think it will be pretty fun. And so we will have the streams be more about our projects, of which, don't worry, there are lots to come. We have a music video coming out, Break the Great Reset. I'm so excited for that. We actually just got the first draft from our cousin Vinny. Just kidding. I'm sorry. From our executive producer. Our producer there, Vinny, from the director for the music video. I'm so excited. Yeah. So we will stream again for that. And we also got Suit Saga, you know, so we just wrapped up Voluntarius, the comic, the origin series that was 6 issues. So, and also what's just coming out is the compendium of origins and the entire 6 issues in one trade paperback. We had finished that campaign, like, was it last year or no?
Yeah,
it was like last year. So it's been quite some time, and We're finally starting to send out those perks, and I'm really happy with how the Origins wrapped up, especially with all the covers that got remastered. Like the covers got spruced up a lot, and then the first and second issues got spruced up as well. So it was really cool to see, just from a fan perspective, a comic series I really like, but actually having, even better art in it. So, and to help, compel and drive the story. So I'm excited for the next, you could say, arc of the Voluntarist comic series, and that is the Voluntarist Suit Saga. So that's another project coming up. You'll definitely be seeing us do some campaigns. You know how we do. Sometimes we'll do shots.
Speaking of shots,
that's probably our favorite. We've done hot wings and stuff. Oh, that's pretty good too. I like hot wings.
We're gonna have a little celebratory shot here with all y'all.
Yes. So let's celebrate. I mean,
well, before you celebrate, just note real quick. I sent down in the bottom, Voluntary Suit Saga 1 pre-campaign email list is there. So again, if you want to get your email down so you know when the Suit Saga campaign launches for the next series, you can see it's super cool. Look at that amazing drawing of Leviathan. There's a little sneak preview there of the cover. So definitely sign on up for it. Oh, and it says TZ got perks from last campaign, so that's awesome to hear. Woohoo!
Oh, well, cool. Thank you, TZ.
Yeah, thank you.
You guys are awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that. And we're going to be finalizing fulfillment on this latest Voluntarist campaign. We're almost there in terms of just getting the final perks in. And then once that's wrapped, then we're in pre-production getting ready for this next one. So this is just a preview of that. And you can put your email down for when it launches, but it won't be till later this year that it launches after we finish fulfilling it on the Origin 6 campaign. But
yeah, I am excited.
Let's celebrate with some hero, because we did get a little sake, and so we're going to review.
I feel like we have a lot of things to celebrate. I mean,
we do have a lot of things to celebrate.
You have a third book coming out.
I do have a third book coming out.
The third of another arc, but a nonfiction.
These are my first two books, and then I'm going to have a third coming out. That
right. So really, just defining what is our philosophy? What do we mean when we say we're libertarians, we're voluntarists, or anarcho-capitalists? Like, what is the philosophy that we are espousing in a succinct form? And all these books aren't they like less than 200 pages?
They're about 100 pages each. Basically.
Yeah. Oh, 100 pages. So even closer. 100. Yeah. So
easy reading, short, sweet, succinct. I don't belabor the point. I just get to the point.
Which is great. Personally, I'm a fan, as a philosopher, of not getting lost in details and minutia, even though my personality type kind of pushes me naturally to do that. I like to actually think of things based on first principles and to define and outline principles. So I really like your books, Jack, and how you do that. So
thank you.
Pick them up. No, I'm just kidding.
Definitely pick them up. And we'll tell you if this is worth picking up. This
also, I love the cover art.
This hero
the first one, the second one's really good.
So this is a nice sake.
Oh, this is called Junmai Ginjo Sake Hero.
So 15%.
Oh man, that's strong.
Nice and strong.
This is a no baby shot. Look how huge this is. This is as big.
No babies.
This is bigger than my eyes.
So cheers to you, everybody, and a quick thank you for coming out to the streams. Thanks, Darius.
Yes, thank you, Darius.
Questions. Thank you so much,
Super
Darius.
Galactic, fantastic
and Darius
dimension
again. For the great questions. Those are great questions, Darius. So thank you for putting those down there. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
But we're I guess. Oh, so we're for sure gonna be doing the back to the old format.
I mean,
yeah, right.
Unless I get anyone who's like, no, the fact is, we're still gonna do live streams.
Yeah, it's just gonna be more, as we said, project based. So
right. So we're gonna do live streams. It would be nice to do once a month, almost like a monthly project update.
We will need to,
and then that way, there's no monthly topic. We do a separate video. So we just kind of keep it separate. It would be fun to do funny memes. I mean, it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I mean, you're looking at memes all the time. So we should definitely
I'll get some memes
collaborate. Yeah. So I like that. And then, I guess we're kind of splitting it out, basically. Just moving basically video topics out of the live streams and back into their own, just sort of publish video format that you can share. We're also gonna get it captioned in a more spruced up professional way. So that's exciting. So just gonna give it like a new look there to the captions. So yeah, it'll be
Minor.
But yeah, it'll be exciting. And Anarcho-capitalist says more games. The games are fun. Yes. So that's the other thing too with our project bases.
Yeah. So at least for right now, basically all it means is that we'll do more of the short video formats for the next, at least foreseeable future with the next few months leading up to this year, and then live streams more so like as we're talking about projects and playing games and having fun with it kind of thing. So that makes more sense right now. So
yeah, I like
it's getting busy. It's getting busy for us.
I'm glad you brought it up like that. Like, and again, like part of my desire to take the monthly topics out and put it back in that published video format is because I saw comments from people. I just on different videos like, hey, I miss your shareable videos. I miss like having these videos to watch with my kids. Some people are like, oh, that's so cute. Like educational content. I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. But me kind of rambling on a live stream or reading someone else's article as opposed to like summarizing, in our own words together, kind of the main points and our views, like it's totally different. So we're going to go back to that. Let's see how it goes. And then definitely catch you guys on the streams more, especially like Anarcho Rica, always seeing you every time. Like I'm like expecting you here now. Like if you ever don't show up, I'm just gonna be like, what's going on? Are you okay? So TZ, thank you. I do watch you. Awesome. Yeah. So let me know in the comments when they come out in the coming months, the next videos, all the supporters. So what that means is, instead of just going back to having the topics be about, a monthly published video as opposed to a live stream topic. So same thing, but I think the topics will be slightly different. You'll see. And
it was a nice shake up and break, in terms of just changing things up just because
it was. I wanted to try it just
years,
to see what is this like? What can we do with it? And we learned a lot, and some things like we can keep, like the funny memes. I also really loved having Lou on.
Yeah,
like I think
having
just
guests is fun.
Interviewing, having guests is something I just want to do just ad hoc. So those will be separate from the monthly videos. So that's more for supporters. Like, thank you so much for, believing in me and still supporting me every month. And so that's what, you can expect. And especially the fiduciers will be on the published videos as well. So back to that format that we can share everywhere. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad we got to try it out. So thanks everyone for being flexible and hanging out for the ride.
Yeah.
I guess we should celebrate on that note.
Yeah, that sounds good.
A lot of projects wrapped up.
a lot of projects wrapped up and a lot more coming up because it really is something nuts. Like after this, we're going to have to review the initial draft footage from Break or Great Reset. So we just got that in. We're going to have to, go through first round revisions on that. And
got a secret song coming out.
Got a secret song coming out that we're preparing for, that we're recording in a few weeks.
I'm so excited.
That's going to be fun. Then the Lou Perez event. The Lou Perez event's going to be coming up after that.
So excited.
And then the big thing is the Voluntarius, the next ARC campaign. That's going to be massive. I'm taking everything up to the next level for this. Eric July really inspired me with this stuff. And I was spending time studying him, studying Ethan Van Shiver and a few others, just like
Ethan Van Shiver, like discovering him, like I mean Eric July really cool, but I'm saying Ethan Van Shiver was doing that in the 90s. He was like a young guy in the 90s working on his comics. So it's like, whoa, to just see that prior generation setting the stage, and he's still funding on Indiegogo his comic campaigns. Like that's incredible.
So just studying a lot of different people's successes and thinking about what I want to do differently. And so I have a few things this time that's going to make it really interesting. And I think you're going to.
I'm excited.
Like it a lot.
So those are coming live streams, right? You're going to come on my show here.
Yeah, we'll do promotional things when that gets launched, and it probably won't be launched tentatively at this point. Like the Suit Saga stuff probably won't be launched until November 1st. But there are right after that, then there's a couple other projects that are going to be coming out early 2024. One I can talk about is just, my third book will probably be released January 2024, maybe January 1st. And then there's another secret project that we've been working on for a long time that might take a little bit more. We have two
secret projects, Secret Song and another secret project.
But that'll be out sooner. The other secret project, that's really something special. And we've been working on that for a while. Yeah, it'll probably be out next year in terms of that's when we'll release it.
Secret
But it's been a long process, but it's super cool.
Okay, one more project. I think the market has spoken David Smith, shut the fuck up in a merch store, please. Yes. Yes, Jack. What do we got to do? Send you a to-do in the email?
To-do in the email, maybe.
Someone's like, Eric Joel who?
Eric Jahoo?
Thoughts on Vivek? Come on, vote hard with us.
I got thoughts of Vivek, but I mean, it's still, I think I told this story before. Like, so Vivek came up to me and shook my hand because he thought I was David Friedman. So like we're at Pork Fest.
Because David Freeman was behind us, so like someone pointed him out.
Right. And so he points, I think his manager or whatever points him out, and they think it's me. So I'm shaking Vivek's hand like, hey, and I'm like, no, it's some other, guy. So that was my introduction to Vivek. But he's a smart guy. Obviously, he's intelligent. He's obviously driven.
I definitely relate to him on a very, like, on all the personal, superficial levels, like from an immigrant family working his way up and really cares about American values, American dream. Like,
he's just not obviously that principled. All I can say is basically, okay, he's better than most Republicans and most Democrats.
I think he's probably better than DeSantis, but I don't know.
I don't know even. Like, that's actually a tough one. So because he has some weird things, and DeSantis has, of course, plenty of weird things. So
yeah,
that's all I can say is that basically, he's not libertarian.
We still need to change the culture.
He's not libertarian, but he's better than most. No matter what, it's not libertarian.
You need to become a peaceful parent.
Yeah.
You need to take your kids out of public school. You need to take your nieces, your nephews, everybody.
Yeah.
And you got to like help us end taxation and the Federal Reserve. Because that's how we're getting out of this mess. And if the culture changes, it really doesn't freaking matter what stupid puppet gets in, because we really got to change the culture. So I don't vote.
Mm-hmm. I don't gotta worry about that. I just work on the cultural side of things and influencing for. I mean, liberty.
Politics is downstream from culture. I mean, progressivism as a culture has been the dominant culture for so long, and that's partially been due to government schools. Hence the need to like build a culture around not going to government schools.
Yeah, I mean that's really the biggest thing.
Stop pretending
at this point, honestly.
that you can. Stop being a controller and central planner yourself, frankly, because that's really what it roots down to when people are like, oh, we got to take over the public schools because don't you got to teach everyone to read? And it's like, oh, now you just sound like any other authoritarian. It's like you just want your subjective views on what people should be doing with their lives, beyond like ethical principles like body and property rights. Like you're saying like, oh, everyone should recycle, for example, or whatever. Like you have your own views, or everyone should shoot guns. So you're like, oh, let's make it, everyone does that in public school. It's like, no, it's like, let's not force people to fund things. Let's have true individual body and property rights, universal respect. Let's truly end slavery, right? Let's just like actually abolish slavery and not call it by other names. So that's where we at. That's what we out here trying to do. Dang, no dang, it's every day in Florida. All right, we're gonna cheers.
This is what I deal with on a daily basis. Cheers.
Cheers to liberty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very.
Wait, hopeful. What do you deal with on a daily basis, Jack? Tell the world.
I deal with a woman. I deal with.
What is a woman, Jack? What?
So on that note of things changing, so
hey, what's a woman? Why won't you answer?
Oh,
you can't answer. I'm gonna Matt Walsh on you if you can't answer. What is a woman?
XX chromosomes, and they got a uterus. There you go.
Oh, okay, that's very good.
Good enough.
Right.
So
it's a boring, very accurate answer. No, I'm just kidding.
Javier Milei, right? The people are talking about him a lot. Funny story. So, Javier was actually, he is big into cosmetics like that. He used to be, I don't know if they're still together.
That's how I first heard about it.
Right. He dated Lila Lemony. She was in Argentina.
I thought it was Lila Lemoyne.
Lemoyne, maybe it's Lemoyne. I don't know. Someone help me with that. But she's the one who created his cosplay outfit, but in order to do it, she actually referenced voluntarist, and she comments that on the videos for voluntarist, that when she was looking up stuff and this and that, so you can actually go check it for yourself. This is like from years ago.
It's like a hybrid. I think he has like these long shoulder pads.
8 years ago.
Or she added these long extended shoulders.
Yeah, so if you go on my voluntarist channel,
I think he has the V.
Yeah, well, she was looking for inspiration. She was Googling, has this been done? What kind of thing could I make? And she came across Voluntarius, and that was a part of the inspiration for his Ancapistan costume and all this other stuff. So it's cool, like that little tangential thing. It's like the things we do here in America also affect things in other countries too, right? It's like that people are inspired in, Latin American countries as well, and in South America, so it's something to remember that our influence here when we're talking about liberty and out in the culture, it's global, right? We're not just limited in the age of the internet to just those people around us. We have the ability to impact people around the world.
Like when I did
ANCAP
Grind,
like movies, so
when I had the music video ANCAP Grind, my first like really polished music video that came out, it got so much coverage in Brazil because there was this YouTuber who was pretty big in Brazil, an ANCAP Brazilian YouTuber that covered the video, and he was dancing along to it. Yeah. And I think his name on YouTube is Midia ANCAP, MIDIA space ANCAP. In fact, if you look up like ANCAP Grind and Midia, MIDIA, I think you'll probably find his reaction video. It's probably there. But I'm like, oh my gosh.
And fun
the
fact,
Brazilians, let's move to Brazil.
He has the largest ANCAP following, I believe, in the world.
I like Florida.
He has the largest, or is that Media ANCAP or is it IDS Radicalis?
Media ANCAP was the first one, yeah.
Right. So it's IDS that is the largest following in the world. But Portuguese speaking people. So yeah, no, exactly. It's incredible. So let me see here. Sophia said, how do we create culture level of Tim, super shady hypocrite poo? Well, I mean, Tim is just he's just a commentator on the news, and he just makes it accessible by like having a ground table.
I want to be like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I mean,
like how I love how
that's just production consistency. That's not anything like crazy, but
I love Joe's like very long form, but like very fun, connected, loose. I know like Tim Pool's different, but I feel like on Tim Pool you can only have coffee. I could be wrong, but whatever. I like on Joe Rogan, it's just like different. Like there's all kinds of like your own kind of choice of what you want to do. and it's like this long format where he has all different kinds of guests, and he's just really just bringing on people that he's personally interested in. And I know he's not like political. Like he didn't start off as that. I mean, I literally learned about him from Fear Factor back when he still had some hair and whatever. But I just like that sort of style of and I'd want to bring on people that I like, whether it's an indie music artist or a music artist that no one really knows, like I don't know, Tony Velour, Sample God or something, and like interview them and be able to have a conversation about their life. Because I'm a philosopher at the end of the day. I'm not here just to talk about politics. I don't want to be like, okay, my only thing is, are you a libertarian candidate? Like I want to just follow what I'm actually interested in, be an actual talk about self-directed learning, that's what I would want to do. So yeah, anyway, how do we create the culture? So it's all decentralized. It's just kind of like, is it you? Are you the next Tim Pool? Are you the next Joe Rogan? It's just kind of like, it is, I think, really something that you live, and it's up to each individual to learn how to really live these values and stand for these principles of liberty, principles of universal property rights for all, right? Universal rights for all. And I think it'll just proceed from there. It'll just all follow from there from a decentralized way. If you have people individually adopting it, and living it, and then choosing to create in the medium that they want to, whether they create or not, or they're more an engineer. It's really, yeah, there's many ways. So yeah, and it all adds up. Great question.
Yeah. It always just boils down to just, do what you enjoy most. And if you feel like you don't have the talents for it, you support the people who you think are doing the best at it, what you enjoy. And that's basically it. But when it comes to,
I'm not an artist. I could not draw the comic art or whatever, like the inside pages or the covers, nothing, but I like to be an engineer. So I can help support things that I care about, or purchase a Rippaverse comic. I can't write and draw like, all the people that draw for Rippaverse, for example, or Volunteers Comic Series, like, but I can, for example, support it, by just picking up an issue and being a fan or promoting it to my fans or whatever in my audience. So.
Right. And a part of just being culturally relevant for the people who are more successful in the space of being commentators, again, what they do well is they're regular with their thing. They have a regular show, regular time. They're doing it like at least every day or I should say, well, at least once a week or every day. And, they're staying abreast of current events. They're making it exciting. They have good, production quality. That's what it boils down to. And there's lots of people in the Liberty space who have those kinds of things. It's not like, oh, nobody has that yet. Now, the biggest thing
and we've improved so much. I mean, just being able to like go between 3 different cameras is so cool. For example, like I just remember we had our like little, webcam streaming at the dinner table. Now we have our own stew. So it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
But that's why I don't want to stop the streams. It's just more like I just want to take the monthly video topic out and just have that be its own standalone thing again.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to everything else in terms of creativity and changing things, the ways to engage people are just basically every and any medium form that you can possibly imagine. We need people in every area of interest in life, every hobby area, every passion, and people talking about it within the context that they're good at, whatever it is, whether you enjoy woodworking or you're crocheting or you work on cars, like just people who are just like, maybe they're talking about it or doing videos and they, have a Macy's shirt on or whatever, like, what I mean? You seed it in wherever you can. And that's how you start to shift the culture because people pick up on that. So. Right.
It's basically having it just be like an everyday wearable thing that's recognizable. Like, for example, Mickey Mouse ears, right? Like if you just like, you can even just live your life as you normally would, but you're just like repping the culture. Like even that technically is a way to perpetuate it. So everything adds up, like I said, and there are many ways. It's just you as an individual figuring out what you want to do.
All right, we're going to close this on out with the shot. So cheers.
All right. Cheers. Is this my first?
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it is.
Okay.
Cheers. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging with us and for having some fun with us as we played around with this live stream format for the past 8 months.
It was fun.
It was fun. Definitely. We had
some nice to close it with Lou.
Yeah, closing with Lou is good. It's not like we're not live streaming anymore. It's just we're just not doing it as the topic. It's just right. We're gonna leave that more to when we're doing games and having fun, like we're doing our projects and talking about that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be good.
Cheers
and so cheers to you to that.
Cheers to
that. Yeah, and cheers to all the good stuff that's coming around the corner for all the fun things we're doing. So
gosh, that's a lot.
Oh. And there is one other thing. Hold on. I should plug one last thing before I go. Hold on one second.
Yes.
Because
Anarcho-Rika, thank you for being here again.
And just real quick here. I just want people to know. So Diego will like this if he ever sees it.
Yes.
Probably won't, but I'm doing it anyway. So Defend the Guard is a movement to basically, it's like an incrementalism to try to stop the National Guard being used for war. So it's like limiting them from being used in combat. So again, it's just it's one more way to chip out the power of the federal government to try to use people for war as pawns. So they've been very successful in getting legislation passed against this. So check out Defend the Guard, the U.S. They need people who are phone bankers. They need people who are just making people aware. It's been very successful. It's a project to bring the troops home. So a lot of this is just, straight up good old anti-war stuff, something you can be proud of, something that you wouldn't be ashamed, to be associated with. Because again, it's just an incrementalism of trying to stop the war machine. And that's, at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things we can possibly do is to stop the mass murder of people and the use of people as pawns for the sake of central bankers who want to use those people to keep enriching themselves at the expense of the young and the ignorant. So we don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
So check them out.
I love seeing this spread everywhere. It's great to see.
Yeah.
See, that's an example of culture spreading.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Well, good night, y'all. Have a good night. Take care, David. Take care, TZ.
Thank you, TZ.
Take care, Anarcho. Take care, Nexus. Everybody else who's here to the end.
Thank you, Nexus.
Yeah.